All right, we're back. We're on page 103 of math analysis, actually the last page of the 14 formulas notes. So this is kind of a big deal. And what we're going to do is actually find more formulas. So these aren't famous enough to make it into the 14 formulas. I do find myself using these sometimes in calculus because they make certain problems like a lot easier. And they're not really hard to get. So these are going to be called the product to sum formulas. And what's going to happen is we're going to get a formula that takes a product and turns it into a sum. So let's see if we can do that. So the way you get them is you add or subtract the sum and difference formulas for either cosine or sine, depending on what you're looking for. So for example, if I had cosine, I'm actually going to start with cosine of a minus b, just you'll see why. So cosine of a minus b is cosine a cosine b plus sine a sine b. And then cosine of a plus b. These have been my nemesis in these videos. I keep getting them wrong. Cosine, cosine. Part of it is like, don't talk your way through everything you're doing. Maybe like focus up. I'm going to add these together. Plus, and then on this side, we get cosine of a minus, autocorrect or auto something, a minus b plus cosine of a plus b is equal to, so because the sine parts just cancel out, you get 2 cosine a cosine b. I don't know why these parentheses have creeped in here. Let me take those out. I was doing a thing where I wasn't putting them around those, and maybe tighten this up a little bit so it looks a little more something. Okay, and then I want to solve for cosine a, cosine b. So let's say therefore cosine a cosine b is equal to 1/2 the cosine of a minus b plus the cosine of a plus b. Okay, so what good does that do me? Almost no good at all on a math analysis level. But for example, if we had the cosine of 5x times the cosine of x, right? We could turn that into 1/2 cosine of 5x minus x plus the cosine of 5x plus x, which would be 1/2 cosine of 4x plus cosine of 6x. So we could use it, right? We don't really have any examples where this would matter to us, but when you get to calculus, I don't want you to be able to say that you've never seen it before. Also, if you have me for that part of calculus, I'm going to tell you to look back at this page and be like, where already learned this? We could also subtract them. When you subtract them, I'm just going to copy and paste. It's a good idea to put cosine of a plus b on top. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to put this here. Is it a good idea? I don't actually know if it's a good idea. Maybe I want to go the other way. This minus that. Yeah. I think I want to go the original way. I'm sorry. Let me get rid of this. I mean, you're probably not copying as fast as I'm writing anyway, because I'm just copying and pasting. I'm going to steal all of this. So I wish you could see me doing that, so it wasn't like so weird that I'm saying it. I'm going to subtract these. Okay. And when I do that, I will get cosine of a minus b minus cosine of a plus b equals, so the cosine parts cancel out, and we just get 2 sine a sine b. It wouldn't have mattered if we did it the other way. We would just get -2 and then have to divide by a negative and like flip all the signs. But then we can say, therefore, so I can never remember these formulas, and I literally, every time I need them, I just stack the 14 formulas and add or subtract as necessary. So you also might find yourself doing that. So sine A times sine B, if you run into it, could be changed into 1/2 cosine A minus B, and then minus cosine of A plus B. So I don't have them memorized. I mean, you can memorize them if you want. Um, then there's one more that we can get, which would be sine of A cosine of B, right? And that's got to come from the formulas for sine, because those are both like sine, cosine, cosine, sine. So let's see how we should stack these. I don't think it matters because we're just going to add them together. So sine of A plus B is sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. So this is, I mean, you want to know the 14 formulas because they're useful in just like every application. Like it's hard to, when you're doing trig, it's hard to come up with something, and eventually calculus, it's hard to come up with things where they're like not relevant. And I'm going to add down to get sine of A plus B plus sine of A minus B is equal to 2 sine A cosine B. And therefore we can say the sine of A times the cosine of B can be turned into 1/2 of sine A plus, these again, I do not have memorized, I just know how to get them. Sine A plus B, and then sine of A minus B. So no need to memorize, just remember the process. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop this here because the next thing is related, but a little bit, it's different enough. I think more people in the world will find this particular video useful than will find the next video useful. So that's actually why I'm breaking this up. So these are your product to sum formulas. Very useful when you get to calculus, not super crazy useful on a math analysis level, but the notion that we can get them is pretty cool. So I'll be back in the next video to do a little bit more, and I will see you there.